Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Confidently You podcast. It is me, your host, Helen, head coach and owner of fantastic online female health and wellness community and coach, Fit Girl Club. How are you? Hope you are well. If this is your first time listening, I'd like to say this is a one-off, but it's not. This is what I'm like all the time, and that's okay. I am very good at what I do, very professional, and if you can cope with me, you'll be able to listen along. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that doesn't bother me, girls, and you should acknowledge that as well. You're not going to please everyone. You're not going to be everyone's flavour, but you've just got to be yourself. Be nice, have some decent values, and be yourself, because we're all meant to be here in this world to be different and stand out, and that's the whole point of it. But the reason I say that is because I think sometimes the way I speak and who I am, and I hid away for years. I hid parts of my personality, who I was for years, and absolutely don't do that anymore. But you just have to put up with the fact that sometimes I stumble over my words. It's definitely ADHD brain. Your brain goes faster than your mouth. But today, I feel a bit tired. If I was to have periods, I'd definitely be having one now. TMI, straight with the TMI, girls. I always got an IUD, but that's the wrong word exactly. That's an example of me tripping over my words. IUD, so it's a coil, and it stops me having periods, but I still get some of the symptoms. Honestly, I think I'm just going to get it taken out, because I think sometimes it gives me worse mood. And I've had a lot of conversations with women who feel the same about this. And then because you still get a bit of the PMS, but you don't actually get the cycle, it's just like you're all over the shop anyway. I'm a bit tired, feeling a bit PMSy, got a bit cramp, and I'm just keeping it real. I'll always keep it real with you girls. That's who I am. But we still show up. I still get up and I go for my morning walk, and I still eat well, and I still hydrate, and I still show up for all you girls. But I'll always keep it real and say it's not always sunshine and rainbows. I did have a really big week of training last week as well, so I'm just going to dial it down a notch this week. I'm going to go to the gym after this and just lower the weights, just get the movement in. I'm going to run to the gym, obviously. I always run to the gym and do everything I need to do. So do my program, lower the weights, and then just try and go to bed a bit earlier tonight, even though I'm in bed by 9 every night, girls. Gosh, I'm ridiculous, aren't I? I have this privileged life where I can sleep from like 9 till 6 every day, but I feel like I just need to turn up a little bit more rest, please. Yes. And I'm off to the spa with my bestie on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be great. Gossip, a catch up, and I say gossip, we just talk shit, and a spa, sauna. Yes, please. But it's 7 weeks now, 7 weeks on, is it Saturday till my ultra? My gosh, I booked my ultra, this 50-mile ultra in the Lake District, last September. And I've been training and I've been doing everything, working up towards it. But then it's like, my gosh, it's 7 weeks ago. Time does go really fast, girls. It flies by. So yeah, I'm hitting some peak weeks of training, and not next week, the week after, I am in the lakes for a week. So doing a recce of part of the run and just having a week off, which I always do for my birthday. I always go to Lake District for my birthday. It's like since I met my partner, it's what we do every year. And it's great. I just love it up there. Hopefully do some paddle boarding. Hopefully the weather will have improved. We went last year and it was red hot, probably too hot. This is the problem, isn't it? It's either too hot or not hot enough. And then I like a nice 20 degrees, 20, 21, 22. We went last year and it was heat wave. And then we still had a fab time. We went the year before and it was freezing. Like I was sat in my dry robe constantly. It was that cold. So yeah, can't win, can we? So we'll see what it's like this year. But we've got we haven't got much planned, but we do our usual stuff, and I've got a recce run and different things. Just be nice to have a week away. There will still be a podcast that week because I'll record 2 next week. See, we always show up. But talking about weather, it's like literally my favourite topic of conversation. If you're British, if you're not British, you probably don't understand it, but I think us British people, we just love to talk about the weather. I think because it changes so much. That's why. Whereas when you live in countries that have a consistent weather, we love to complain about it, we love to talk about it, and it's just part of who we are. And I don't care. I love that, obviously. But with that in mind, this week's topic of conversation after last week's heat wave is why everything feels harder in the heat and what to do about it. Now, I know you're probably like, well, it was last week, Helen. Great. This isn't helpful now. But everything in my podcast is teaching you things for life. It's not just about the here and now. It's not like something you're going to do now. So next time there's a heat wave, you'll be like, oh, Helen mentioned this. Ta-da! Oh, I can try this. Ta-da! Oh, I don't have to feel really guilty because I have no energy. Ta-da! So why everything feels harder when the temperature rises. So you're not lazy, you're not unmotivated, and you're not losing fitness. I think that's a really hard one. If you're making loads of progress and then suddenly there's a heat wave and you go out and try and do the same thing you've done before and you suddenly just can't do it. So heat places additional stress on your body. So today's focus is going to be about what to do if you try and lose body fat, heat and sleep, hydration, which is really, really important, especially when it's hot, training, and as well, I'll talk about running because that's also really important if you're a runner when it's warm. So why does heat make everything feel harder? So your body has to work harder to stay cool. So you've got your basal metabolic rate, so how your body functions in everyday life, okay? That's your body's processes, and you'll take in so much energy and your body will be able to, be thinking and digestion and different hormones and everything going on, okay? There's so many things that go in, like biology is crazy, like the intricate details of it. So then add into the mix, you're getting hot. Then your body suddenly has to go, well, I need some extra energy to cool you down because if you overheat, you'll die. That sounded really dramatic. But everyone, if you've ever had a temperature, I think correct me on this, I should have done some research before, I'm just throwing out random numbers. Is it if your body temperature goes up by 1 degree, you're like a fever, you are at a really high risk. So Google that yourself. That's not science proven. I should have Googled it. But there is this big risk factor if your core body temperature goes up. So your body has these mechanisms that help cool you down, and it needs energy to do that. So it's going to take away energy from other things like your brain and your movement, and it's going to make you more sedentary because it needs the energy for making you cooler. So you'll have an increased heart rate even at lower intensities. And this is really obvious, especially if you're a runner. Like if you're trying to run in a low heart rate zone, or even if you're going out for a walk, notice that your normal walk pace and everything like that will feel harder because your heart is working harder to keep your body cooler and your body functioning. Everything will feel harder as well. So you have this higher perceived effort during exercise. You'll have more fatigue throughout the day. Recovery can take longer as well because your body's not got that energy preserve to help with recovery because it's using some of that energy to cool you down. And a slower pace or reduced performance doesn't mean that you've lost any fitness. And I think it's about recognizing that, like understanding that if it's a hotter day, things are going to be harder. It doesn't mean you're less fit. So we need to adapt your expectations, not your commitment. Like with me today, I'm feeling a bit lethargic. Doesn't mean I'm going to sack off the gym. I'm not unwell. I'm not like absolutely worn out and I've not got loads of muscle soreness or anything. I'm just a bit tired and a bit hormonal. So I'm going to go do my training, but I'm just going to dial it down a notch. And that's okay because you're still making progress if you do that. Showing up still makes progress. So talking about when it's hotter, one of the things that are really obvious that will happen to everyone here is you need to increase your hydration and you'll have sweat loss. Now, I'm a very, very sweaty person. We all have different levels of sweat. There's actually like tests you can do online. If you are a runner, or even if you're just interested about this, you can go on the Precision Nutrition website and you can put in, there's like a sweat test and you answer some questions and how heavy a sweater you are. So how much then you need to be rehydrating, because hydration isn't just about water, because when you're sweating out sweat, it contains electrolytes too, so it's loss of sodium, potassium, and other minerals. So dehydration can impact your energy, your mood, your concentration, your performance, and your recovery. Our bodies are 70% water. That's fact, right? We are 70% water. So when you are losing your water, your brain needs water to function. If you aren't rehydrating, you will lose functionality. Now, there's a really fine line with this. There's overhydration as well. So if you find yourself ever in a position where you're dehydrated, you've not drunk enough fluid for a few hours, there's big warning signs. Like first is often a late sign. Common signs are headaches, fatigue, dizziness, muscle cramps, feeling unusually hungry, and dark urine, or not urinating for long periods of time. This is something that's really obvious when I go on long runs, and it's just about being self-aware. So instead of if you've not had water or fluids for a few hours, don't then go and like neck a massive bottle. Just take little sips, because you can actually overhydrate, and that is also, there's lots of warnings in this episode, but that is also, it can kill you. If you suddenly down a bottle of water, you've probably seen stories of people that have done this before. They've been really thirsty, downed some water, and then died because you've overhydrated. So if you ever find yourself in a position, best ways to, if you're out in exposed to sun or anything like that, number one, be prepared, take stuff with you. But we all get caught short sometimes. Take small sips, sit down, try and find somewhere cool to rehydrate, but take it steady. So one of the best things to do is staying hydrated throughout the day. But if you struggle with that, is starting your day with hydration. So in the morning, a big glass of water to start your day, okay? Drinking regularly throughout the day, so having a water bottle with you. If you are a heavy sweater, you will want to consider electrolytes in hot weather, and especially if you're doing longer training sessions. Not everyone needs electrolytes. If you're just sat on your bum all day and you're not really sweating and you're not really exerting yourself, you don't need electrolytes, because we get enough salt, potassium, and other minerals in your food. Most of you will probably have quite a high salt diet. If you're tracking your food intake on MyFitnessPal, you'll see that you're getting enough salt intake for a normal daily life. But if you are a heavy sweater, or if you've gone under the sweat test, or another good one is really dark urine, or like if you're like me, when I go on my long runs, you will see on my running vest, I have like salt marks. I have like tide marks on it, and that's from the salt that comes out of my body. So I do use electrolytes. If you're doing any endurance sports or activities like that, I would recommend incorporating some electrolytes in your day. If you just sat in your office and you're a bit warm, electrolytes probably isn't the best route to go down. I would recommend though something like coconut water, which is a great hydrator, and it's tasty as well. It could sometimes when you're really thirsty or it's really hot, I find water sometimes just it doesn't hit the spot. So coconut water is great. You can get different ones from supermarkets. You can get quite cheap as well. There's some expensive ones if you just go to Tesco and go to the fridge aisle. But if you go to like the World Foods aisle, or if you go to Aldi, you can get cartons of coconut water. If you have any issues with your kidneys though, gosh, a lot of disclaimers in this episode, but if you have any issues with your kidneys, please speak to a medical professional before consuming excessive amounts of coconut water, because of the high potassium. Everyone else should be fine. I won't recommend downing loads of it either though, because it's got calories and everything in it. Just be normal. Just have a normal amount of stuff. No excess of anything. An excess of anything is not going to be good for you. All right, just remember that. But coconut water is fantastic, and it's nice. Bit of ice, a nice glass of that, and it just quenches that thirst. So stay hydrated throughout the day, drink regularly throughout the day, consider electrolytes, eat water-rich foods, watermelon, berries, cucumber, oranges. If you're ever doing like any endurance events, there's always watermelon there, so they replenish those lost electrolytes. And just keep an eye on your urine colour. If your urine is dark, just don't get to that stage. And you can't outtrain poor hydration, so you need to keep on top of it, and it's something we should be doing daily. If you struggle with your water intake, I do recommend it is something you work on, because it does have an effect as well on hunger and energy, even when it's not hot. You can you can buy bottles that have the times on excuse me. Some people like using those, or you can get an app on your phone or add alarms into your phone, or habit stack. So have water as soon as you wake up with every meal. So your main meals, big glass of water. Tea's fine. Coffee, I'm on the fence with it because it is meant to dehydrate enough. So the caffeine and the stimulation in it, I don't think it's the best substitute. But also, if you just drunk coffee for the rest of your life, would you survive? That'd be a good study to do. Obviously, I don't want anyone to die from just drinking coffee, but it'd be interesting to know. I find when I drink coffee, I need a water with it as well. And if you ever go somewhere like France or Italy, if you get a coffee, you get a side of water. Cider water. Can I have a side of water, please? You get a glass of water as well. So, yeah, I wouldn't replace all your water intake for coffee. Tea's a bit better because it's got less caffeine in, and herbal teas are great as well. But I would just recommend having some water. If you're someone that's really like, I don't like water, I don't like the taste, have some low sugar squash or something in it. You can get some really good things like infusions now as well that don't have any sugar content. And if you're trying to avoid any ultra processed foods, juice is obviously ultra, like squash is ultra processed. So you can get just like infusion tea bags or stuff, or put just some like lemon and cucumber and mint like in your water. There's some great things that you can do to make it tasty, or just like, I love fizzy water. I have a soda stream, bit of a snob with it now, so when it runs out, I don't like it. Absolutely love fizzy water. I can cope without it though, I'll just suck it up because I'm an adult. So, heat and fat loss. Here's some really important things to understand when it comes to fat loss. If you're weighing yourself, your scale weighting will increase in the hot weather. So this is why another reason not to weigh yourself, girls. Absolutely ridiculous. The scales just need to go in the bin. You'll have increased water retention. I go like swollen, my hands swell up. I was saying this the other day, I find it odd that I went out for a walk with my mum and Martin's mum and Martin, and my hands were swelling up when I'm walking. But when I run, they don't. Now, obviously, my arms are moving, things like that. But yeah, walking's bad for me, obviously. But it's probably because I have my hands down by my waist and just hanging there. So yeah, I swell up in the heat. If you're watching, you probably can't even notice anyway. But I get a bit more water retention. You can feel it. Sometimes like my ankles as well can swell up. With fat loss, you can have changes in hydration levels, inflammation from harder training conditions. So because your recovery might be slower, you might have longer inflammation. Inflammation is not a bad thing. Inflammation is healing and recovery, but you tend to swell up a bit more, which will then cause the scale to go up. Fat loss and scale weight aren't the same thing. Remember, just a reminder, this is why you need to do your measurements. And if it's hot, we're not going to have hot 6 months here in the UK. If it's a hot week, just don't weigh yourself. Just don't get the scales. Don't panic over short-term fluctuations. This is the main takeaway that I always mention to you all. And it's like these chop and changes. If you're doing everything right, I had a client recently, she was like, oh, it's not that it's not working. She went, oh, scales aren't moving and this and this. I went, well, your measurements are, and you're tracking everything, you're doing everything right. I was like, it'll all come down, it'll work. I've been doing this long enough and I've helped hundreds, if not thousands out of women with their fat loss. I might trust the process. I will tell you if you need to change anything, and just have to stick with it for a bit. I would say stick with something for 2 weeks, and you have to be honest with yourself. Have you tracked absolutely everything? Are you sure you're in a deficit? And then do all your measurements, to try on some clothes, and if you're then putting on body fat, you have to be in a surplus. But that's body fat. That's why it's not it's so hard to pinpoint it. If you're doing everything right, it will come off. So instead, when it's warm, I want you to focus on habits and weekly trends, not these daily fluctuations, which you all should be doing anyway. The higher scale reading doesn't automatically mean fat gain, and just remember that. It definitely doesn't. Bin the scales. Heat and sleep. So this is one of the things that it'll affect all of you, but then it's the knock-on effects. So I've talked about sleep in depth before. If you've not listened to that episode, go back. There's an in-depth episode all about sleep. Now, if you're not sleeping well, you are more likely to eat more, you'll be hungrier, you'll be moodier, you'll make poorer choices, you won't want to you'll have less energy, so you won't want to do as much. Sleep is I think it's my number one. I fix sleep before I fix nutrition with new clients. We really need to work on getting better quality sleep, because you'll just feel better and make better choices, and then it's easier to nail your nutrition and your movement. It goes in like a sliding scale. So when it's hot, your body temperature increases. Now you need to go into a cooler room to sleep. They say about 16 degrees is perfection. So hot nights can lead to more waking in the night, lighter sleep, and reduced recovery. So poor sleep impacts your hunger, cravings, energy, motivation, and recovery. Brilliant. So top tips are: keep your bedroom as cool as possible. When it is a heat wave and hot, I never used to do this because I used to be like, oh, open all the windows and let all the air in. But if the air's hotter outside, in the morning, or even if it doesn't cool down at night, like it wasn't doing a couple of days last week, you need to keep every window and door shut. Shut the blinds, shut the curtains, make your house as dark as possible. I should have learnt this when I lived overseas, because that's what you did in houses there. They'd shut all the blinds and the shutters, keep everything out. Now, if you have aircon, what a dream. Hopefully you're on solar, so it's not as bad for the environment, but one day we will have aircon solar powered. I guarantee I'll get that. Something Martin will definitely work on for us. And keep all the light out. So blinds shut, everything. Just, you want to have the house as dark as possible. If the temperature cools in the evening, then open the windows and let a breeze through the house. If not, you just have to suck it up. That it's keep everything shut, because if it's still hotter outside at night than it is inside, you're just letting the heat in. Never mind hot air rises, it'll just diffuse into your house. We sleep with just a sheet on when it's hot. One good tip is not only just to use fans, but some people recommend getting a hot water bottle and filling it with a bit of water. Don't fill it all the way to the top, and then freezing it, and then you hug it, like maybe get a few, so then you can switch them over during the night. You can also do it with a towel, freezing towels. That does help. For the dog, she's got a cool mat, so I don't know if that'd work for an adult as well. Lying on the dog's cool mat, and just keeping your house as cool as possible to try and get that good sleep. And having a cold shower before bed also works, and hydrating well throughout the day, and just protecting your sleep as much as possible. I think as if you're tossing and turning at night and thinking about the heat, the best thing to do is do everything you can to keep it as cool as possible. And then from there, try and do like meditations to try and just sleep. The more you panic or think about it, like, oh, get frustrated about it and annoyed, the less you'll be able to sleep. So just taking deep breaths and you should be able to get to sleep. I travelled a lot and I went to Goa about 10 years ago, and I stayed in a hostel and they had no aircon or anything, and it was just constantly like 30, 40 degrees. And it was really hard to sleep, and you just be in a bed of sweat. It was just disgusting, really. But you can still sleep. When your body's tired enough, you will. But it is frustrating, and I get it. So training in the heat. So what happens when you've got fitness goals, you want to move, you want to train? So you need to give yourself permission to adjust. Sometimes it's better to train early morning, or I'd say evening sessions, but even last week it was too hot in the evening. So if you can focus on early morning, reduce intensity if needed, give yourself longer rest periods, put the weights down, just lower the weights, movement is fine, maybe do a body weight workout. Instead of doing a high intensity workout, do some yoga or Pilates. It's also okay to just go for a walk. I said this to my girls last week, I was like, focus on your steps. We can bring everything else back when it's a bit cooler. If we have extensive weeks of heat, then yeah, it will be good to do, some workouts throughout that so you don't lose your fitness. But it's about lowering expectations. Focus on effort rather than numbers. Your perceived level of effort will be so much higher when it's hot. Strength may feel lower, and that's okay. You've not lost fitness. It's acknowledging that you've not lost anything, and your recovery demands increase, which is harder because you're not sleeping as well and you need to recover more. So smart adjustments and not setbacks. Get yourself a sunbed, get yourself some SPF on, and go lie outside for a bit and relax. So running in the heat. So I went out on Saturday. I went out a couple of days last week, and I make sure I do go during the hotter hours as well. I used to actively avoid it, and it is great if you've got a gym membership and you can go use the aircon and train in the gym and use a treadmill. And the gym last week was beautiful. Best place. Stunning. Freezing. But the issue is, if you're like me and you've got like a big race coming up, what if it's hot on the day and you've not trained in it? You've got to train in these environments. So if you're a runner and you've booked any races or have got anything coming up, the likelihood in summer that it's going to be hot is high. So if you don't train for it, you'll never know what it's like. My ultra last year was on like the hottest day. It was so warm, but I took ice cubes I made loads of ice cubes and took a cool box, and Martin had ice cubes and I grabbed some of them. I was handing them out actually at one point. And then every time I stopped, I covered myself in water and dipped snood in water and then had that round my neck, and that really helped. I also had a big sun hat. Don't know if it's down here. It's going to make you watch all the video now. I get loads of compliments for this hat when I'm out running. I met a few people on Saturday just out and about, and they're like, "Oh, I like your hat. Is that a specific running one?" I think I just got it off Amazon. It's a bit crunchy. It's a bit crunchy. So it's what you can put it like this, like a cowgirl. But it's great because I always wear a cap anyway to help with keeping my hair back and all the elements out your face. But I started with a cap and then the sun was coming in on my neck. So this helps because it covers your whole neck and head. Sun cream, girls and boys, if you're listening, SPF 50 on the face. I do tend to avoid my forehead, but that's obviously covered by my hat. Only because when I sweat, it then goes into my eyes and it's really painful. I do actually need to get some sweat resistant sun cream. I have a special one for my face and then I put loads on my arms. I am going to get a heat reflective top as well because I did find that my shoulders were out, and even though I had loads of SPF on, it was quite harsh on my shoulders and keeping me hot. And just loads of hydration. Now, if you follow me on social media, you might have seen that I did a post about my run on Saturday. I aim to go out and do 20 miles in the Wold. It's a route I've done before. I've done loads of bits of the route around. It's about half an hour drive from here. It's got loads of undulation, some nice steep hills and rocky paths and stuff that's good for my training that I need. So I was like, right, I'm going to go out and do 20 miles. I've done 20 miles recently. I've done 22. I've done 26. It wasn't like, oh gosh, this is going to be like really hard for me. But I set off and I had 2 big 500 millilitres of carbon sodium drinks, so electrolytes. And in my back, I had a spare 250. And I've been out for plenty of runs before with just the 2 500s, and I've lasted longer than 20 miles. But when I set off, it was harder than I anticipated because it was hot. So I had to go slower. And I was finding my breathing was a bit hard and I was having to stop and walk more than I'd planned to and just had to go slower, which meant my estimated time of doing 11 miles in about 2.5 hours, I was doing it in 3 hours. So I was like half an hour, 45 minutes over my time. And I just thought, I haven't got enough fluid with me. I'm going to run out for what I really need. I'm a heavy sweater, like I told you. A lot of salt comes out of it. I need to hydrate. And I know this route up in the Wolds, it goes through like a couple of little tiny villages. I'd already passed through one. So, bar knocking on someone's door, asking them for a refill, and I'd have run out of like sodium stuff, even though I do have salt tablets as well. I just thought it's just not worth the risk. So I changed my route and I ended up running back to my car and doing 14 miles. And I just wanted to let you all know that I was not a failure for doing that. I was actually, if I'd have carried on, I'm setting up myself up for failure. That's my ego. That's me saying, well, I want to do 20 miles. I have to go do it. It's kind of like a DNF because I just wasn't prepped for the day. Now in future, I will start taking my camel pack out as well, which has 2 litres of fluid in, which is what I trained last year with my ultra. Even though when you do an ultra, you have loads of checkpoints, which is a great thing about doing races. You have, 10 miles max, I think, on my ultra. So a couple of hours and you can have a refill. So I'll be fine then. But when I'm out on my own, it's just not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk of getting dehydrated and just getting unwell. It's just not worth it. So it's okay to abort plans. But if you don't practice in the heat, you won't know how to run in the heat. So you need to practice a bit. Start small. You can just do half an hour. It is harder. Accept that you might want to walk. Have hydration with you. Cover your head. Wear sun cream. And if you don't want to run in the heat, you can run indoors on the treadmill, in the aircon, but don't book a race in the summer because the likelihood is that you'll have to run in the heat. So you better to practice in training. Just remember as well, your summer pace is not a reflection on your fitness. I was so slow. And yesterday I went out for an easy run, 6 miles. And like I said, I am a bit tired as well, but I keep my heart rate I was trying to keep it under 140. It went slightly over for a little bit, but mainly the majority of the time it was definitely under 135 to stick firmly in zone 2. And I was running really slow and it still felt harder because it was humid and warmer, and I had still sweated. And my heart rate wasn't even that high. So just make peace with the fact that your heart rate's higher, your perceived level of exertion is higher when you are running out in the heat. Just try and prepare yourself as much as possible. Also, game changer, good UV blocking sunglasses. I swear they lower the temperature by about 10 degrees in your head. Just feels cooler. All the gear. Some idea. So the women who stay on track throughout the summer aren't the ones who push the hardest. They're the ones who adapt the best. This is what it's about, girls. It's not about being the... Oh gosh, look at my hair after that hat. It's not about being like, oh, I've got to be the best, I've got to do this. It's realising what you can do in the summer and making exceptions to it. And just being flexible with yourself. We don't go on the perfectionism mindset with anything anymore. That's not where we're at. We are literally like, right, what can I do to make progress today? How can I make progress? And a great thing about summer is barbecues. Yes, please. Big salads. Yum. I made a really nice like summer tea last night. It was like, I think it was like a ratatouille, but it was like those shake and bake bags. And you put in courgettes, peppers, tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, chicken, put it in the bag, put it in the oven, and then I did some roasted asparagus as well, and it was delicious. Just like summer flavours and British strawberries. 10 out of 10. So we love the heat, we love everything, but it's just adapting things around it and giving yourself that peace of mind. If you've not got a fan, buy a decent fan as well. So I hope you enjoyed that episode, and it's giving you some tools and tips for preparing for next heat wave, because they're going to come again. And if you need any help with anything, you know where I am. Details in the description. And I'll see you all next week.